In 1922, in rural China, 3 ordinary women were accused of witchcraft. Ancient superstitions condemned them for spells that caused diseases and bad luck. They were locked in a giant cangue, a wooden plank that publicly humiliated them for days. Without a fair trial, they faced hunger, spit, and the hatred of the village. Have you ever stopped to think about what happens when fear turns neighbors into executioners? When an entire village, hungry and desperate, points the finger at the most vulnerable, women who heal with herbs, tell stories around the campfire, or simply survive alone. Welcome to one of the darkest and most real stories of Republican China, a forgotten chapter where superstition still reigned stronger than modern laws. Imagine the smell of wet earth in the rice paddies of Hunan, the whisper of the wind in the hills, and the weight of a wooden plank that not only restrained the body but crushed the soul. This isn't Hollywood fiction, it's the echo of a past that shaped real lives. Let's dive into this together, step by step, as if we were walking through those muddy alleys. What led 3 ordinary women to become witches overnight? Stay with me, because what comes next will leave you breathless. To truly grasp this tale, we must step back into the fractured world of China in 1922. The Qing dynasty, that ancient imperial behemoth spanning over 2 millennia, had finally shattered in 1911 amid revolutionary fervor led by Sun Yat-sen and his allies. The Republic of China was born, a beacon of modernity, promising democracy, science, and equality. But in the rural heartlands, far from the bustling ports of Shanghai or the political intrigue of Beijing, those promises were as distant as the stars. Warlords, ruthless caudillos with ragtag armies fueled by opium profits and foreign arms, carved up provinces like a butcher's slab. Hunan, this rugged central province of mist-shrouded mountains, serpentine rivers, and endless terraced paddies, was a battleground of neglect. Droughts scorched the earth, turning once-lush rice fields into cracked mosaics of despair. Plagues of locusts devoured what little grew, while nutrient-starved livestock birthed twisted, malformed calves that peasants whispered were harbingers of divine wrath. And lurking in the shadows of every hut were the fevers, malaria's relentless burn, cholera's gut-wrenching grip, dysentery's silent thief that stole children in the night. Medicine, a myth for the elite. What filled the void was the supernatural, ancestors demanding tribute, gooey spirits of the unrested dead clawing from grave, and the insidious wu-gu, the magic poison wielded by witches to sow misfortune. In villages like Liujia, a nondescript sprawl of thatched-roof huts clustered around a sluggish, silt-choked stream, life clung to ancient rhythms. Confucianism's rigid hierarchies dictated daily obeisance to elders and gods, while popular Taoism wove in talismans against evil winds and rituals to appease the unseen. Buddhist temples perched on hillsides, their incense-heavy, era a marketplace for superstitions, where monks traded exorcisms for rice offerings. Authority rested not with distant republican edicts, but in the iron grip of the Zhu Zhang, the clan patriarch, a wizened figure like Wang, whose judgments flowed from oracle bones tossed in firelight or consultations with temple shamans. When calamity struck, a failed crop, a child's fever, the search for blame turned inward, and the easiest targets were women on the margins. Widows without male protectors, healers whose knowledge bordered on the arcane, elders whose words carried the weight of forgotten lore. Enter our 3 women, Mei, Lion, and Zhu. They were no mythical sorceresses, no cloaked figures from forbidden scrolls. They were the quiet sinews holding Liujia together, women whose lives mirrored the unyielding toil of rural existence. Mei, at 42, was a widow forged in quiet tragedy. 3 harsh winters prior, in 1919, tuberculosis had claimed her husband Li, a stoic farmer whose coughs echoed through their hut like distant thunder until silence fell. Left with a daughter, 10-year-old Zyro, wide-eyed and fragile as a reed, Mei spun coarse linen by lamplight, her calloused fingers a map of endless labor. She washed linens in the icy stream, mended nets for fishermen, and shared her watery oatmeal porridge with the village's orphans, those hollow-cheeked remnants of fever's past. Yet in a world where a woman's worth was tied to a man's shadow, Mei's solitude bred whispers. Why hadn't she remarried? Why did she murmur to the night sky, as if bargaining with stars for her child's future? Lion, vibrant at 28, embodied the wild pulse of the mountains. With hair like raven wings tied in a practical knot and eyes sharp as hawthorn thorns, she scaled fog-veiled slopes at dawn, baskets slung over her shoulder to harvest the earth's secrets, ginger bulbs for cramping bellies, artemisia leaves to quell raging fevers, ginseng roots to knit strength into weary bones. Heir to a lineage of Qing dynasty healers, women revered in better times as earthly bridges to the divine, Lion's remedies had pulled dozens from death's door, her teas a staple in every hut. But knowledge in a woman's hands was a double-edged blade. Her nocturnal forays, guided by moonlight through bamboo thickets, evoked the Hu Li Jing, seductive fox spirits from folklore, shapeshifters who lured men to ruin. To the fearful, her herbs weren't cures, they were veiled poisons, wugu in disguise. Then there was Xiu, 65 winters etched into her stooped frame like rivers carving stone. Her skin was parchment thin, her voice a gravelly rasp from decades of fireside chronicles, but her eyes burned with the unquenched fire of survival. Xiu had witnessed empires bleed, the Taiping Rebellion's millennial frenzy in the 1850s, rivers red with the blood of 20 million. The Opium War's foreign devils flooding ports with smoke and shame. The Boxer Uprising of 1900, when peasant militias torched missions in a fury of xenophobic ghosts. She wove straw amulets strung with beads, talismans against ill fortune, dangling from doorways like whispered wards, and spun yarns of river dragons slumbering in eddies, vengeful Gui rising from unmarked grave, goddesses meting celestial justice. To children, she was a grandmotherly enchantress. To the suspicious, a conduit for chaos, her tales not mere stories, but incantations summoning the dark. Bound by threads of necessity rather than blood, the three intertwined. May ferrying Lion's poultices to Xiro's bedside, Xiu regaling Lion with ancestral healer sagas under starlit skies, Lion brewing salves for Xiu's aching joints. They mended what the temple's inept male healer could not, a silent sisterhood in a patriarchal weave. Yet as October's chill winds stripped the paddies bare, yielding a harvest of dust and despair, the fragile balance shattered like brittle bamboo. It ignited with young Wei, blacksmith Zhang's 5-year-old spark of joy, a chubby-cheeked imp who darted through the square, giggling as he herded dust-kicking chickens. One fateful morning, he awoke not with laughter but with fire in his veins, skin scorching, eyes glassy orbs murmuring gibberish, limbs jerking in unholy spasms. Fen, his 30-year-old mother, a weaver with hands raw from looms, summoned Elder Hu, the temple-sanctioned healer, who arrived huffing with a satchel of boiled roots and guttural chants to the ancestors. But the boy withered before noon, his tiny chest stilling like a snuffed lantern. Fen's wail rent the air. She tore her tunic in ritual grief, ashes from the hearth smeared on her face, and staggered to the square. Shadows, dancing shadows at May's window last eve. She howled, voice cracking like thunder over the hills. Spells woven in the dark, she poisoned my way with her envy. The accusation was a lit fuse in tinder-dry hearts. In Liujia, death wasn't mere sorrow, it was rupture in the cosmic order, demanding expiation. Patriarch Wang, 60 and grizzled as an old oak, with a beard like frost-laced moss and eyes slitted against the world's glare, bellowed for assembly beneath the creaking bamboo pavilion. Clan head by blood and brutality, his sway stemmed from temple pacts and warlord tolls, a man who judged with a clay pipe clenched in tobacco-stained teeth. 50 men converged, pipes puffing acrid clouds, beetle juice staining the dirt red. Women lingered at fringes, shawls veiling faces taut with dread, whispers snaking like vines. Wang ascended the low dais, silhouette stark against the blood-orange sunset. Wei's passing screams of the unseen, he thundered, voice a cracked gong. Gui fury boils or mortal hands stirred their pot. Fen, snot-nosed and wild-eyed, jabbed at May, the widow unchained by man, her gaze devours the fruitful. A kin of Fen's, nursing grudge over cow felled by bloat, bayed, Lion the night prowler, her weeds swelled my beast to bursting, Gu venom masked as mercy. A brooding young widower, smarting from isolation, thrust toward Xiu, the crone's demon ditties, she calls them to caper in our midst. No gavel fell, no scrolls unrolled for proof. Republican justice, a Beijing fairy tale. Here mob verdict sufficed, primal, unyielding. 6 guards, burly tillers turned in forces with wrist-thick bamboo staves lunged. May thrashed first, farm-strong arms whipping futilely. Innocent, I beseech the dead, not bind them. The throng's roar, a beast awakened by starvation, swallowed her cry. Lion, blanching as dawn frost, was yanked mid-stirring a fever draught. My bruise birth life, not bury it. hands shook like aspen leaves. Zhu yielded serene, head bowed in murmured litanies to heaven's vault, gaze piercing the veil as if plotting escape via ether. Punishment's core, the Kang imperial ghost haunting republican dusk. From the temple's gloom-shrouded vault emerged the monstrosity, 3 meters of stout linden, 80 kilos of unyielding spite, etched with perverted wards. Dragons' fangs down in defeat, tigers sightless as the damned. Necandrist apertures gaped like maws, the women aligned, wood clamping with a guttural groan, vertebrae protesting the crush. Forward curved, toes scraping earth for purchase, they staggered to the square's heart, twilight's crimson fingers clawing their forms. Torment unfurled across interminable days, square transmogrified to Colosseum of spite. Tofu hawkers rasp, coins for curd, laced with sidelong sneers. Youths hurled pebbles, pings mocking on timber, elders hawked phlegm, globs tracing salty paths down grime-streaked cheeks. Child devourers, gooey puppets, temple monks' venom, incense-fumed, lingered like rot. Bound, they craved alms. A furtive rice fistful vanished to mongrel jaws. Streams murmur tantalized, yards away, unquaffable. Lads jest, baptism for hell bound. Pale dumps cascading chill mockery, lips parched amid deluge. Second dawn scorched merciless. Wang monk whispered ordained procession, alley weaving cleansing per homestead. Staves prodded, wood gouging furrows in loam. May lurched thighs aflame, breath ragged pleas lost to din. Lion intoned sutras, Sanskrit salve, Om Mani, lotus compassion bloom. Zhu's frail flesh split, crimson rivulets warm, fury smoldered inward, forge tempered. Fen's threshold, she erupted, willow switches river fresh. Light thieves, my way's thief, lashes flayed exposed spines, cracks blooming welts like wrath blossoms, may clamped jaws on blood, lion's rib scar split anew, Zhu veiled lids, ancestors witness wheel whirls. Onlookers acclaim, primal purge roar. Neighbor forge, stale loaf proffered post blessing farce, evil siphon to safeguard, chuckles as sway wrench sinews. Leaky roof hovel, wine-sodden youths encircled, torches flirt flame near tinder dry. Demon rosters spill, prod singed nostrils, lions frail, plants prey, phantoms flee, hilarity hyena harsh. Third day's anvil sun hammered haze, flies feasted festering, may crooned cradle songs for sequestered Zyro, avian missives to deities. Lion's haze birthed woodland wraiths, herb wings fluttering, terror truths, manhood mirages. Zhu evoked epochs, Qing's tumble, missionaries' Bibles bearing balm and bogeymen. Flux eternal, stream scours peak, epochs efface enmity. Sunset third, spectres stirred, may mourned Lee's blood cough farewell, orphandet to shrine. Zyro huddled blanket bare, return mother, porridge pails. Lion evoked Grand's guillotine for drought drafts, petal pure seek, flora forgives. Zhu relived boxer blaze havens, kin concealed in conflagration. Realms raise, femininity foremost forfeit. Fourth, heaven's scourge, Hunan deluge lash thick, mudmore sucking soles, Kang bloated, vice on sores, marrow freeze, fever lion lashed visions, lineage rain dancers. Savor soil kin, mob melted to thatch, monk mold mound martyrdom, stake sacred, septet nights wolf whale, lung lunge drown. Aurora ashen, hamlet hunger haunted mold menace paddies, thunder hooves herald, Changsha envy leeway, gaunt 35, azure silk faded missionary molded in Yankee codes curbing creed cruelty, Mauser minions flanked, atavism, blade voice bisected mist, Wang wilted whiskerpale throng twitched, ads assailed splinter shriek salvation, Neilmud collapse essence eternal may equity alien balm, lion lug to leech law true, Zhu Rai deific jest, azure arrives at apex agony. Probe pavilion pure, Wang writhed rifle ringed, wraiths woven, fen fractured, lament lens shadows, flux foul stream, Zhang gravel, tide taint not thaumaturgy, monk mountain melted, scrolls swaddled. Wang wanning, Warren rung victim ward, Fane find fodder farm, Li lunched leave, Hamlet haze hung, rifle rain rivaling revenant rule. Moon's monsoon meld, May Masonic with Zyro, stellar sermons shift, Lion law lifted Changsha. Sister school science synced, shade shed, sage soil science, T's triage troops 37 Sino scourge. Zhu ember encircled, audience amalgam, Witchcraft to Willowbend, timber tomb, taproot triumphs. Youth yoked, hunger haunt hearts, not haze hunts. Kang cadence ceased, Hunan hush, font fresh forged fever fend, seeds staunch scourge spread, which whispers wane, writ remote ruminate. Yet vestiges vex, globe ghetto guile, margin maidens mobbed, Barstow's witch craze binds, want warps women, commune cull unchecked. Sunset summons, contagion dread, cure kinship, tread this twilight trail, beacon not bane, next nook unearthed, repose rack free, plank no peril.